Good morning, and welcome to Virginia Outdoors with your host, Farmer D. Today we're going to talk about some of the cucumbers that we're growing and some tomatoes and the proper way to pick tomatoes and pick cucumbers. A lot of times I see people just grabbing the fruit and just yanking the vine, and you don't realize the type of damage that you're doing to the vine. So you want to make sure that your vines are healthy and you don't damage them. You want to pick the fruit the proper way to make sure you have more fruit the next time. As you can see here, the cucumbers are doing good. When I was young, I used to have cucumbers and let them just, the vines go all over the ground. But now I realize that the cucumbers should grow up. It makes it so much easier to pick them. The cucumbers stay nice and they don't get all dirty and stuff, nice and clean. And it's easier for the pollinators to get in there. And then you can also see what's going on. But you want to make sure that you pick the mature fruit off so the plant sends the nutritional energy towards the smaller fruit. As you can see right here, there's some small cucumbers coming on. So what you want to do is look down to the bottom. I picked here about a week or so ago, and as you can see now, there's more cucumbers ready to pick. This is a smaller variety of cucumbers, which I like, and basically a serving size cucumber. But the proper way, you may not be able to see here, I'll just take it and just pinch it off with my hand. This is a smaller one, and I just take it and just pinch. And that way you don't do any damage to your plant. But we'll probably pick maybe a bushel, maybe 2 bushels off of this row of cucumbers, and I give them away to some of the friends and family and older people in the neighborhood, and also give some to the food closet here in Culpeper. I do that probably every other week. But yeah, we'll be picking some tomatoes today too. As you see, you can come down here. I should have picked a couple days ago, but it was raining so much I didn't get an opportunity. But this is a cherry style tomato. As you can see, these are ripe. Again, just take them. Well, tomatoes are easier, especially when they're ripe. You just touch them and they just come right off. But I hate to see people just grabbing the vine and just yanking it, because it doesn't really do the vine any service. As you can see here, I planted some companion planting. I planted some zinnias probably about a month or so ago. And you can see they're doing good. They're probably 2.5 foot tall now. But we've had an amazing amount of rain here in Virginia the last couple days, the last couple weeks. But it's been good and bad. But for the plants to love a lot of water is good. But those that don't, it's not so good. But well, we need the rain. So we're going to talk about some other things today in the garden. Okay, well, another thing I wanted to talk to you about is weeds in the garden. I talked to you about it on another segment. It's very important to pull out the weeds to give the plant the nourishment and energy to producing fruit. But you need to know your weeds. For example, this is a weed right here. It's called purslane, P-U-R-S-L-A-N-E. For many, many years, I was pulling this out and putting it in the compost pile. But this weed is extremely nutrient dense and very healthy, even though it's still considered a weed. So I don't pull these up anymore. I keep them in the plant, in the garden. And you can see it's a succulent, so it is tolerant to drought. But you can see, it comes back every year, and it's all over my garden because I just let it go. But it's extremely, and this is how I eat it. Very nutritious. But yeah, Google it, purslane. Add this to your diet, put it in your salads, and more importantly, just add it to your garden. You don't have to do anything. You can find a plant and just put it. I mean, this thing has thousands and thousands of seeds, and it'll be all over your garden. In my garden, it's everywhere. And I basically pull it, and sometimes I'll transplant it and put it into another section of the garden because I want it to start coming up. And it's a good ground cover. It actually shades any other weeds, so it's a win-win situation. But it's good. And if you have chickens, and the chickens eat it too. So purslane is one of those weeds that you want to keep around. I just wanted to circle back because in one of our previous segments we showed you how to plant watermelons and the proper way to plant watermelons. So I decided to come out today and see how they're doing. And as you can see, they're starting to run and put vines everywhere. And then I looked down, I said, well, let me see if there's any watermelons that are actually going. And the first one I saw was this little rascal right here. You know, I said, okay. Here they're starting to do something, and then I happened to look over here and I said, oh my goodness, look what we got. So, you know, things are doing good, they're looking healthy, and they're loving where they are. Watermelons, they like to be in full sun, and you know, of course we've had all this rain in the last couple of weeks, so that's a good thing. The tomatoes don't like all the rain, but obviously the watermelons do. And I see another one over here, so, you know, and I see a couple more throughout, so I'm happy. So hopefully I'll get some good watermelons. You know, watermelon is one of those things you should eat a lot of them, especially now because of the so much heat and humidity. The name watermelon tells you that there's a lot of water in it, and we should consume a lot and obviously stay hydrated in these temperatures. But I just wanted to show you this and show you how the watermelons are doing since the leg segment. I wanted to bring you into the high tunnel and show you a different variety of cherry style tomatoes. As you can see, they're doing really good in the high tunnel because I'm able to control how much water they get compared to the ones outside where Mother Nature's been just drenching them with buckets and buckets of water. I think the other day we got about 4 inches of rain, which is way too much for them. As you can see, they're doing really, really good. Look at the size of those cherry tomatoes, and look how beautiful they look, and the plants look amazing as well. So at least in here I can control the amount of water they get, but they're beautiful, and I'll be picking those later today too. I also want to, while we're in here, let me show you my beets. These are some beets I planted early spring. These are huge. They're actually probably too big to be eating, but what I'll do with these, I'll juice them. Yeah, but their beets are very healthy for you. You should eat a lot of beets. But these I'll put these in the juicer and I'll juice these. You can see the other tomato plants are doing really well. Here's a larger style of tomatoes. These are Cherokee Purple. You can see they're doing good, and I'll be ready to pick those in the next couple of days. As you can see, I have basil throughout, either here in the high tunnel or even outside. Basil, and I have that throughout everywhere. Another cherry style tomato, these yellow ones. The reason I like these, because these are actually sweeter than the red ones, and they are less acidic. Actually, these I love these. These are the best. You don't get no better than this. And if you see some of them, and they'll start to split. This one didn't split, but if you see them, they start to split. That means they're really, really ripe. Here you go. But those are the best ones. When they split like that, they are absolute perfect. But you need to get those off of the plant the same day, because if not, the next day they'll start to ripe or rotten. All right, we're still here in the high tunnel, and I wanted to show you a variety of peppers that we grow. This is a purple variety. As you can see, they start to doing pretty good. About to take off, and again, here's some weeds, so you always pull the weeds as you go along. But again, the peppers, they like heat, so they'll do good in July and August, September. They'll do really, really good. Actually, August is when you start to plant some of your outside greens, so you can get your soil ready, your soil amendments ready, because August is when you start to plant your kales, your beets, your carrots, any of your leafy greens, turnips, collard greens, things of that nature. So August is when you plant that, so they'll be ready in the fall. Well, it's mid-July here at Farmer D's in Culpeper, Virginia, and the blueberries are the best that I've ever had since I've had these plants. I've probably had about 15 years. And I think it's because all of the amendments I have been doing, but I think more so is because all the rain. We have had an abundance of rain the last month and a half. And because of that, the blueberries love it. You see, they're so ripe, they're just falling off the plant. And we talked about the proper way to pick fruit and blueberries. The best way to do it is just have a pan or just your hand and just kind of tickle them. Just massage them lightly, and the ripe ones will fall into your hand, and the ones that aren't as ripe will stay on the vine. And what I've done in the past, I've made the mistake and got impatient and picked the blueberries when they were blue, but they weren't really at their peak of ripeness. And I had so much going on one time, I didn't pick the blueberries till 2 weeks later, and then picked them. And now I know that you're supposed to wait, because they taste so much better when you wait and pick them when they're at their peak of ripeness. Blueberries, everyone should plant blueberries. Great antioxidant. You can't go wrong with blueberries. Earlier I talked about the proper way to harvest vegetables, and I'm going to show you the proper way to harvest a squash. This variety of squash is the patty pan, and I love this variety. Not too many people grow these, but I like those. But again, you see people just grab it and yank the plant, and it really damages the plant. So the best way to pick a squash is to actually spin it. And then you can just pull it right off. Patty pan. You know, it doesn't damage the plant, and that's the best way to harvest a squash. And then now we're going to show you how to harvest some okra. You can see the okra's starting to get tall, nice and tall. Okra will grow up to 5 or 6 feet tall before you know it. This was only 1.5 foot about a week and a half ago. Again, the same thing you do with the okra. You take it and spin it. And there you go. Nice okra. Okra is really good. I eat a lot of okra just fresh, right out the garden. But the okra is another one of those plants that you really need to have. Doesn't really have any pests. Doesn't really have any disease issues. Okra, you got to grow it. Here, we talked about tomatoes earlier, but we also have tomatillas, which is a type of tomato, and we use it in mostly Hispanic dishes and salsas. And this is a variety here that is purple. This is about almost half ripe, but it's a tomatilla. They get about maybe twice this size, and they have seeds in it just like a tomato, and they can be sweet. But they use them in many Hispanic dishes, and definitely in salsa. Tomatillas, another variety that you must have in your garden. And you can see this is just one plant. Look how big this is. But yeah, and there will be hundreds of little tomatillas on this plant. Well, thank you for this segment of Farmer D's Virginia Outdoors. And next time you'll see us at a farmer's market near you. Thanks for joining.